Hi, this is Ike from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got another book to read for you. Today, book of The Incredible Shrinking Dave from 1985. So let's get started. We're the Chipmunks, sung Alvin, Simon, and Theodore. They was in their room patching against some of their hit songs. Can't you boy be quiet? Davis and Phil shouted from down the hall. I'm trying to work. The chipmunk peeked into Dave's room. He was sitting at his desk, which was piled high with bills and paperwork. Gee, whispered Theodore. They've been awfully grouchy lately. I think he's been working too hard, said Simon. Yeah, said Alvin. We never get to see him anymore. Suddenly Alvin got a terrific idea. For a month he'd been trying to talk David into going on a river raft trip. Maybe this would be a good time to go. David said, Alvin, you need a vacation. Why don't we go on that rafting trip I've been telling you about? Sorry, Alvin, I just don't have the time, said David. Besides, rafting is too dangerous, which that he went back to figuring out his calculator. The three chipmunks went to bed disappointed. Meanwhile, David could hardly keep his eyes open. I just don't see how I'll ever get all this work done, he mumbled through a yawn. Soon he dozed off to sleep, right on top of his paperwork. The next morning, Alvin and Theodore was in the kitchen eating breakfast when Simon rushed in with his latest science experiment. It looked like a tall glass of grape juice. Wait till you guys see this, Simon cried as he put the glass down on the table. He dripped a tiny drop of the purple liquid onto Theodore's big sack of pancakes, and the pancake shrunk to the size of a little stack of dimes. You have invented a shrinking potion, cried Alvin. What a rotten trick, grumbled Theodore, glancing at his tiny mill. Just then, David came in, busting through the kitchen. No time for breakfast. I'm late for my meeting at the record company, he said. Well, maybe just some grape juice. And before the chipmunk could say a word, David grabbed a glass of purple shrinking potion, gulped it down, and dashed out the door. Maybe it doesn't work on people, said Simon hopefully. The chipmunk ran to the door. There on the pile lay a big heap of clothes, and poking out of the shirt collar was a tiny doll-sized David. What's going on? Squeaked David at the top of his lungs. The chipmunk carried David back into the kitchen, sat him down on the sugar bowl, and explained everything. But don't worry, said Simon. I'm sure I can invent another potion that will make you big again. And here's your new wardrobe, David said Alvin, as he dressed David up in a tiny red shirt from an Alvin. How cute, giggled Theodore. How humiliating, moaned David. David looked so tiny and helpless. Suddenly, Alvin had a naughty thought. This was his big chance to be in charge of things. Come on, guys, he shouted. We are going on that river rafting trip. Are you nuts? Squealed David as the chipmunks tucked him into a backpack along with sandwiches and equipment. But there was no stopping Alvin. At the river, the chipmunks rented a raft from the old Gus geezer. Are you boys sure you know how to do this? He asked. You bet, said Alvin. Why, our grandpa invented the raft, he added, winking at Simon and Theodore. Help, help, peeked David from inside the pack. Stop these chipmunks. They'll drown us all. But old Gus just thought he heard a baby bird chirping. Hey, this is easy, boasted Alvin, and as the chipmunks began to paddle down the river, he looked over his shoulder at Theodore and Simon. There's nothing to it. Just then, Simon turned pale and pointed ahead. Look, Simon stuttered. Alvin turned and saw that they were heading right for a roaring waterfall. Yipe, hold on to your life jackets. He, he shrieked just as the raft went over the edge. The chipmunk plunged head over heels into the deep water below. A paddle and pack tumbled around them. Dave got tossed out of the pack, but he grabbed hold of a floating canteen and would wash the shore downstream. I have got to get back to the waterfall and save my boys, Dave cried, running through blades of grass that towered over him. Meanwhile, the chipmunks were bobbing up and down in the water. Finally, they were able to swim safely to the river edge. They crawled up the bank, dragging their soggy pack, and lay gasping for breath. Oh no, Theodore shouted. Suddenly he looked in the pack. Where's David? Eventually, the chipmunk began to search through the grass and bushes along the riverbank. David was only a few yards away, so he heard the chipmunks calling for him. Here I am, I'm okay, he shouted, jumping up and down, but the chipmunk couldn't hear him over the roar of the waterfall. Suddenly a shadow crossed David's path. He looked up into the face of a big grasshopper. That's it, shouted David, and he climbed up on the grasshopper as if it was a horse. He cried. The grasshopper leaped into the air, hopping toward the chipmunk. With each jump, David gave a yell. Simon, Theodore, Alvin. Alvin heard a tiny voice calling his name. Then he saw the grasshopper. It's David, shouted Alvin. The chipmunk grabbed for the grasshopper, but it jumped right through their hands. Then with the grasshopper next wild jump, David lost his grip and fell. We have got you, the chipmunks all shouted at once. But they all missed, and David tumbled with a thud on the bed of a moss. David felt the chipmunk shaking him. David, David, the chipmunk cried. Please wake up, David. But when David opened his eyes, he wasn't by the river. He was at his home, at his desk, and he was his normal size again. What happened, he asked. You overslept, said Theodore. I must have been dreaming, said David. What a terrible nightmare. Hurry, David, said Simon. You'll be late for our meeting. Cancel the meeting, said David. We need a vacation. We're leaving today. Hooray, shouted the chipmunk. Does that mean we get to go river rafting? Alvin asked eagerly. No way, said David. I had all the river rafting I can handle for a long time. Geez, Alvin whispered to Simon and Theodore as they ran off to the pack. I wonder what he meant by that. So that was The Incredible Shrinking Dave from 1985. If you like, subscribe, share, and comment, have a groovy day with another video coming out real soon.